out. Remember, they also would lose Draymond Green in the third quarter. Watch this. Jawing with the ref and gets his second technical, and he is tossed from the game. You can see he's still chatting as he leaves the court. Klay Thompson saying, all right, bro,
might as well
enough.
get your money's worth. Might as well get your money's worth if you're already gone.
They're going to get him.
This was wild. Let's go ahead to the fourth quarter. Misses the three. Rebound. Kuminga tries to save it, but look at this. The refs called that a foul, Richard Jefferson.
That was not a foul. Obviously, there was some talk, but here, the game's not over. Game's not over.
Looney, again, another foul called there.
I don't know if we call those makeups, but this was a foul. They're holding each other. They're in a scrum, but that is a foul. That is 100% a foul.
Here is what Steve Kerr had to say about that.
I thought the two fouls at the end were bizarre fouls. I don't know how those calls can be made. Both of them, one that went for us, one that went against us. I don't understand how we can decide the game based on plays that have nothing to do with the game.
All right, so Jakob Poeltl on the line. He made his first to tie it. Second free throw here. Nope.
Wiggins, you got to box out. Wiggins, you got to box out at the most important time of the game.
Him and Klay were like Keystone Cops bumping into each other, too.
Yeah.
Well, Keldon Johnson gets the rebound, takes the lead. The Spurs win it 110-108. So back here with Richard Jefferson and welcoming in Mark Spears. So we just saw the highlights, but does it fall more on the refs or does it fall more on the Warriors, Richard?
Well, I think Steve made a great point. He's like, look, both plays, like one went against us, one went for us. So that part is tough. But I will say this, and Draymond and I have a good relationship. My thing with Draymond is that without Steph on that floor, you have to be even more cautious of your fire. He's got an amazing fire. He's got an amazing passion that has been missed. But here you have to understand you don't have a window. So if you get this second technical, that fire now becomes a problem. And so for me, I think this was more about Draymond making sure down the stretch he's back on the court, keeping his cool, because especially without Steph.
Well, if Wiggins makes the two free throws, this is a moot point, right? And I give Looney, the Larry Smith of today for the Warriors, credit for, everything. He's doing all the dirty work, but you got to be careful. The ref just called a ticky-tack foul, so what he did gave him an opportunity to make a make-up call for the Spurs.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, you got the two players bumping into each other, not boxing out right. So I don't blame the refs. The Warriors were in a position to win, and they blew it.
But you also, what are your thoughts on Draymond understanding the position that he's in right now? Because you say if Wiggins doesn't miss those two free throws, but if you have Draymond on the floor, you have maybe you're not in that spot. Maybe you're up by 5 and those free throws
he
don't
has
even matter.
Remember now that time is of the essence.
Yep.
They have a real small margin of error, if any. So, no, I'm sure Draymond looking back, it's kind of like what happened last season. They can't afford this anymore.
Absolutely, because this is one of those games where they could look at it and say, was this the one where we ended up slipping in the standings? Because it's just a matter of just little things at this point, especially for the Warriors, considering they have to figure some things out, especially without Steph. But he spoke about how long the injury might keep him out for. Take a listen.
Just trying to assess the recovery in real time, just to know how much we can push it on a day-to-day. Right now, obviously, not much. So this is one, I guess, if you push it too soon, it can linger and be a real nuisance. And it's obviously anything with your foot, your ankle, anywhere down there, you want to be, I say cautious, but just because you don't want that to be something that lingers when you get back out there on the floor.
I assume your belief, though, is like playoff game 1, round 1.
I think I got enough time for that, but I'm an optimist, so yeah.
All right, so the Warriors, they have a tough stretch coming up as they start a 5-game road trip tomorrow at Orlando. Then they visit the Heat, the Hawks, the Wizards, and the Grizzlies. And then Golden State comes back home against the Suns, and you can watch that one on ESPN. So we just saw their upcoming schedule, so I'm going to ask the panel, your level of concern for the Steph-less Warriors coming down the stretch here is what? I want to start with you, Mark.
It's certainly some mild concern. They have the potential to drop down to the 5th seed.
Yeah.
But could it be a blessing in disguise for a couple reasons? One, I think Steph needs a break. So this gives Steph a couple weeks so he could go in the playoffs rested. 2, Lakers, how are they with Anthony Davis? Do they get in and play 1 or 2? Clippers, I talked to Ty Lue this morning. He has still some optimism that Paul George, Kawhi, and Norman Powell could be back. I said, so what will you guys be if they're back? Special was his word. Denver, Jamal Murray. So the 1 and 2 seed might not be as beautiful as it looks right now.
Not to mention, Timberwolves have been a coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Timberwolves have been a
Yeah.
coming. What's your level of concern here, Richard?
It's not concern, but understand that they're in a place of there's uncertainty. You know, obviously you get Draymond back and you're like, okay, this is the moment where they can start picking it up. Can Draymond, get back to that space of being considered Defensive Player of the Year? But all of that has changed, obviously, with the Steph injury. For me, when I look at their team, they want to be 100% healthy. Everyone knows that. But all of those teams right there, I don't think that they're going to finish second. If Memphis does what Memphis is supposed to do, they're not going to finish second. Then you put yourself in that third. But the other only part about dropping down to the fifth seed is those other teams have to play extremely well also.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think that this is just going to be one of those stretches. Get there, be healthy, and see how the cards play out.
Utah in the first round.
What?
I think they get Utah.
I would accept that.
And Utah has a whole lot that they need to look at because of the lack of success that they've had in the playoffs. They want to make a deep run. I do want to bring in Big Perk here to get his thoughts on all
Nice
this.
suit, Perk.
Perk,
Perk.
what's your level of concern here?
I have a high level of concern. And Richard, if you talk about uncertainty, then it's concern there. And when you think about the Warriors, right, you think about the continuity of Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry. Those guys been playing together their entire career. So they'll figure things out. It's about rotations. It's about guys knowing their roles. It's about Steve Kerr finding his rotations. Because remember, you got to see how Kuminga is going to play alongside Draymond Green. You got to find what Looney is going to play minutes. You got to see how Andrew Wiggins is going to play, what Jordan Poole. They have so many guys that have been balling. Steve Kerr needs this time to figure out his rotation. So when I'm looking at the Warriors right now, I mean, they may drop in the standings, but do they really want that, to be honest? I mean, the Mavericks are playing well right now. Utah is playing extremely well. Donovan Mitchell is playing outside his body. But here's the one thing that concerned me about Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr has really been out of line lately. Even from the time he called out Marcus Smart to the time he addressed the officiating last night, right? Like, in my opinion, if you're going to come to the podium, hold yourself accountable and hold your players accountable. Draymond Green
Well, Perk, is that a sign of desperation?
No, but listen.
Because that's
if
out of character
Draymond
for
Green,
him. That to me
is
is a
true.
sign of
He usually
desperation.
is the guy who comes to the podium and takes accountability.
Yeah, but I mean, he needs to right now. And what I'm saying is that Draymond Green cannot get ejected in this game.
Yeah.
You're the leader of this team. You're missing Steph Curry. Klay Thompson is still trying to find his way. Although he had a 38-night performance about 3 or 4 games ago, these young guys look up to Draymond. And so, like, if Draymond is in the game, I don't know if this game go down to the wire where you have to put the game in the hands of the officials. So I'm just a little disappointed, a lot disappointed in Steve Kerr in the way that he's been handling situations over the last week or so.
Well, look, in quick defense of Steve Kerr, I did not hear the entire press conference. So maybe I have a feeling he addressed Draymond. I didn't hear that. And so that was the thing that he wanted to talk about, what was the calls at the end. Each press conference lasts 10, 15 minutes. But to your point, I understand. When I say uncertainty, one person can say concern. I'm not concerned about the Warriors because of the level of talent, how well coached they are, how deep they are. The uncertainty is, can all of that come together in a space where they can now put it together? Some might call it concern, some might call it uncertainty. I know that's what you said. I'm agreeing with you.
That's what I said.
Fix your lighting.
I said. Okay, then. So what you talking about? My lighting is fine.
Well, and your suit looks great.
Outstanding, Perk.
We're going to stick in the West coming up on NBA Today because LeBron, he returns home. So his best moments as a visitor in Cleveland. Plus, is he the most complete player?